Welcome to Soft Power Investment, the podcast about building influence, connection, and authority. I am your host, Dr. Bobuso, and each week I explore how everyday actions, relationships, and ideas create the kind of impact money can buy. Now, let's get into today's story. Let me tell you about Luke, who, without a title, a budget, or a public platform, changes how an entire organization makes decisions. Luke works in a mid-sized company in the operations department. He's not a manager, does not sit in executive meetings, and rarely appears in any official announcement. His job is to keep processes moving and fix problems that show up between teams. Over time, he noticed the same patterns. Policies roll out from the top, making sense on paper but failing in practice. Deadlines clash, systems don't talk to each other, teams work around rules instead of with them. People complain privately, but no one connects the dots in a way that can be ignored. Instead of adding to the noise, Luke starts documenting what he sees. He tracks where policies break down, how much time people lose, and what it costs in missed revenue and frustration. He collects examples from different departments and turns them into simple, clear summaries. He does not blame. He does not attack. He just shows how reality behaves. Then he does something most people skip. He pairs every problem with a practical alternative and a forecast of the changes it will bring. His reports become clean, specific, and hard to dismiss. At first, he shares them quietly with his manager. Then a director asks to see them. Then a VP forwards one to the management team with a note. This is the clearest view I have seen of what is actually happening in the organization. Although his title stays the same, his influence grows within the organization. Over the next few quarters, leaders begin to seek his input before finalizing new policies. They want to know where friction will appear, what teams will struggle, and how to avoid another round of resistance. His role does not expand on the org chart, but it expands in the room. That is soft power in motion. Luke becomes the person who translates strategy into reality and reality back into strategy. As his impact grows, some managers feel uncomfortable. They worry that his reports expose their decisions. They frame his clarity as criticisms, even when his tones say factuals. If you try to exclude him from conversations or route information around him, pressure arrives not because Luke made a mistake, but because his visibility changes how others see him. Luke makes a choice. He could retreat, share less, or protect himself. Instead, he changes his structure. He starts building small cross-functional working groups to review his observations and shape recommendations together so the insight no longer comes from him alone. He co-authors proposals with people from different levels and departments. He publishes frameworks and checklists that anyone can use to pressure test a new policy before it rolls out. He turns his personal habit into a shared practice. The more he shares the method, the less anyone can isolate or discredit him. The value no longer sits in his name. It sits in the way the organization learns to think. Within a year, leadership starts treating policy design differently. They want pilots before full rollouts. They invite people closest to the work and to the early stages of planning. They ask, what will Luke's group say about this, even when Luke is not in the meeting? Luke never asks for public credit. He does not need a spotlight to know that the way decisions get made has changed. His investment in clear observations, honest documentation, and shared problem solving has turned into authority. That is soft power investment. Look, build influence not by demanding a seat at the table, but by making the table smarter every time someone pulls up a chair. The question for you is simple. In the systems you are part of, are you adding noise or are you building the kind of clarity decision makers eventually cannot move without? Welcome to Soft Power Investment, the podcast about building influence, connection, and authority. I am your host, Dr. Bobuso, and each week I explore how everyday actions, relationships, and ideas create the kind of impact money can buy. Now, let's get into today's story.